All right, Heath Sanders joining us on Whiskey Riff Raff. Heath, a lot of fans know your story, but I do want to give you the opportunity to kind of give maybe the shortened version because it's a motivational story. I think it's a story that like a lot of people probably can relate to in terms of switching careers at a certain point in their life. And I mean, you really switch careers, but if you want to kind of give the fans of Whiskey Riff Raff who maybe don't know the story, kind of how you got started in country music.
Man, I think it's really a story of being prepared for whatever may come. Because I certainly wasn't expecting all this, you know. Man, I just Arkansas hillbilly, born and raised in the Ozarks, and just kind of a nobody from nowhere, man. Really, when all this kicked off, I was living in the middle of the Ozark National Forest and working in the oil field, and I've been doing so for about 8 years. And man, they cut our hours. You know, I was working anywhere from 60 to 70 hours a week, making pretty good money for Arkansas. And, they called us in the office in 2017 and cut our hours back to 40 hours a week, which really, negatively affected me financially. And that was 2017. And I think September of 2017, I went to Eli. I don't tell most people this part of the story, but I went to Eli Young Band show in Texas at Billy Bob's. And it was the first time I'd been around musicians in a long time. And by the time I'd left there, I'd kind of decided like, okay, that's what I'm going to do for a side gig to kind of keep my head above water is go out and just play these local bars in Central Arkansas. And that's really all I set out to do. You know, when I made my little Facebook page, it was just really to get the word out that I was available for gigs. And I just always thought I'd be the guy over in the corner playing a song while everybody's eating their steak, not really paying much attention to me. And man, I'd say, what was it, 4 months, I guess, 5 months. So February of 2018, I had a video go viral, which was either way by Chris Stapleton. I think you guys shared it, and I appreciate that.
We did.
But that inspired me to sit down and write a song. And I'm sitting there on a Sunday morning with my pen in my hand and a guitar in my lap, writing what really was my first song. And I was into it about a verse and half a chorus, and my phone went off, and it was Bobby Bones. And I knew, of course, I've been listening to Bobby I work by myself in the oil field. So Bobby was my only company from 6 to 10 every morning. And so I knew the weight of the situation as soon as Bobby reached out. And we done a phone interview the next day. He asked me to come on the show, and he said, man, I want you to come on the show and play one of your songs. Well, fellas, I didn't have a song. I had a half a song. And so it scared me to death, but I ended up getting a hold of my buddy, Jamie Jones, which lives in Dardanelle, Arkansas. And we went and finished the song up and then went down and played it for Bobby and live on air, man. And it changed my life immediately. As soon as I walked out of there, I mean, the newspaper started reaching out, and the local news channels and, producers and management companies and stuff started reaching out. And I think it was just something that just goes to show, man, you don't never know what tomorrow brings, and just to be prepared for it and be ready for whatever life may bring your way. And here we are, man. I mean, we ended up, I think about 6-7 months after that, ended up signing a management deal with L3 Entertainment, which is also Justin Moore's manager. And they led me into a pub deal with Sony. Well, no, it is now Sony Entertainment or Sony Music Entertainment or something. They changed the name yesterday from Sony ATV to something else. And then a year after that, I signed with Valerie Music on a Big Machine imprint. And it's just unreal, guys. It's unreal how far we've came in such a short amount of time. And it really all boils down to being surrounded by the right people and having the right people at your back, and just making you push yourself. And it's been a wild ride, but hell, I wouldn't have it any other way, boys.
Love it.
That's awesome. What kind of work were you doing in the oil business? Because I saw this viral video the other day of these guys with like the chains and at the drills and swinging these things around, and I'm like, somebody's gonna lose a head.
Yeah, throwing chains is kind of old school now. That they've really stepped up the technology and stuff. But I never was on the rig. I did try to get on the rigs at one point, but the opening just never came open to me, or the opportunity just never was opened up to me. But basically, what I've done for the first probably 5 years of it, we would work 7 12-hour shifts. of days. And then the next week we'd switch to 7 12-hour shifts of nights. And that was pretty rough. But what we did was, after the drilling is done, they set plugs in those gas wells every, few hundred feet. And so my job was to go in there and drill out those plugs and monitor water flow and sand flow back out of the well. But I really got into the industry to be what they call a pumper, which is once all the drilling's done and the gas is actually flowing up out of the ground, I'd go around to wellheads and monitor everything and, preventative maintenance and do all that. So the last 4 years was basically me in a truck, just driving around by myself, taking numbers and swinging a hammer and doing preventative maintenance on stuff. So the last probably 4 years was pretty cake. It really was an easy job, but it took a lot of hammer swinging and a lot of hard nights and hard days to ever land that job. But it gave me a lot of material, man, to write about. So pretty cool, man, how it all worked out.
I mean, it was not at an oil rig, but there's a consensus even with myself when there's a lot of people probably agree like that they don't like what they're doing. You sound like you were okay with it though. Like you were trying to, you were making a living and they cut the hours, which sucked, but
yeah,
a lot of people in the cubicles out there hearing your story maybe and go, wait a minute, like, and you really, from working in the, doing what you're doing in the oil industry to country music. But a lot of people just need a little bit of something to start that idea, that business, that
absolutely
whatever.
Absolutely.
And you're a perfect example of that. You just did it. You just tried. It's even just the attempt matters, which most people don't even do the attempt. I feel like.
I think what it all boiled down to for me was, I ended up spending some time sitting on the porch swing and just thinking like, man, you're risking everything here. You walk away from a $70,000 a year job in Arkansas, which you can buy a nice house there for $150,000. So $70,000 a year is a dang good job there. And, it was a huge weight to carry around for a while, but I think what it all boiled down to was sitting on that front porch and being like, man, do you want to be sitting right here when you're 80, wondering what if, and maybe you could have changed people's hearts and minds and really made a difference with country music. Cause call me naive or whatever, but I think country music saved the damn world, man. I think we're the last remaining genre who really talks on matters of the heart and matters of society and just where we stand as a country. And I think that's really what it was, man. Do you want to go out, take the chance, make a difference, and say you at least tried, or do you want to play it safe? And by golly, I'm glad I didn't play it safe, fellas. I'm glad I took the leap.
Yeah, it was a ballsy move, but the smart move.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think so. And I feel like that being out there in the oil field and the camaraderie with the guys, and your life depends on those guys out there. But I think it's played a huge role in the inspiration behind a lot of my songs. The very first single that I released independently, and the song that I sang on Bobby, called Bloodline, it was a song about my life, how I get up in the morning and just go to work, and I feel like almost at the time, I felt like we'd almost lost a little bit of the balance on country radio. I listened to the radio 10, 12 hours a day, and I saw this, like we were way heavy on the pop. We were way heavy on the pop side and real light on the real country side. Yep. And I thought, well, man, maybe this is your opportunity to play a role in changing that. You kind of got guys like Eric Church and Luke Combs and those guys out here kind of paving the way. Now you got Riley Green out here kind of paving the way for that old sound again, and them old words, them old lyrics, and that stuff that means something, and it was just me being able to be a voice, even if it's a small voice for the time being for blue collar America, man. They get forgot about a lot, and I think they get overlooked, and I think they need people to speak up for them. So if I can do that for a living, hell yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Do you think the pendulum is kind of starting to swing back towards traditional country music right now, or we still got a ways to go?
I feel like we're seeing the swing right now. I think even if it's not a full swing, it's just back to balance, where I think there's room for everybody, dude. I mean, I think there's room for FGL. I think there's a space for everyone.
I beg to differ.
Well, we're label mates.
I know you're labeled.
Label mates, so I gotta be sweet.
Well, that's why you said it first.
Yeah.
That's why you said it.
I think there's room.
I know what you're saying, though. I know what you're
there's
saying.
room for everybody, man, but I think they need to make a little more room for the Luke Combses and the Riley Greens, man. You know, obviously country music fans were starving for it. Or those guys when they seen the success that they saw. I go back to the conversation that I had with Brian Wright, you know, the head of Universal, when I come off the Bobby Bones show. You know, he asked me, because I'm just a country music consumer, you know, up until 3 years ago, and he asked me, man, what's the problem with modern day country? And the problem is looking up on stage and hearing a dude talk about your life and tell about your lifestyle, but the dude's never started a chainsaw before. You know, he don't even mow his own yard, and we see that, you know. Country music listeners aren't dumb. You know, we're a little more intelligent than they give us credit for, I think. And I think that's really what it was, man.
No, I mean, we wrote a couple of our writers. There's been a few different pieces, but the blue collar revolution type feel that we've kind of seen with 5-7 years ago, like the new young guys coming out were all like these pretty guys with their tall gelled hair and singing pop music. And that kind of switched now back to, like you mentioned, like the Riley Green types, like a rugged guy singing like songs that sound very familiar to people like us in our early 30s that grew up listening to country music. And I think that's why for us, it's incredibly refreshing, I think, to just hear guys like yourself and so many others that are even people that aren't on labels. There's so many amazing people out there that are in Texas as well, that are just making like real country music that speaks to the soul a little bit. And you have a new EP out, Common Ground. I was listening to it quite a bit today and I really enjoyed it. And
thanks, man.
You worked with some awesome writers. And how did that project come to be? And I think you work with Casey you mentioned Eric Church, who works with Church. So that has to be exciting to work with writers of that caliber.
Yeah, man. You know, Casey wrote Hell of a View, you know, Eric's new. And of course, all Eric's hits, you know, Casey's, well, a lot of Eric's hits, Casey's own.
Yeah. And Leonard Skinner Jones, the most recent one.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to sit down in the room with those guys and learn from those guys, you know. And obviously I was really new to the game. And so it's definitely helped hone my skills, just watching, listening, and learning. But, you know, Common Ground, you know, I think Common Ground, you know, I wrote that with Jay Brunswick and with Jay Brunswick is on Hard Days and Jeremy Bussey, which is on Girl Going Nowhere. You know, I mean, those guys are fantastic. But I think really the message I wanted to get across with the song Common Ground was, you know, before 3 years ago, I'd never been north of Missouri. I'd never been west of Texas. And so my worldview was pretty small, man. I just kind of had to go off word of mouth and opinions about the West Coast and about the North and Northeast and all that. And, you know, what this has done for me is given me the opportunity to go out and actually see the world. And, you know, I've realized that, take Chicago, for instance, man, going to some of the restaurants there and stuff, dude, they're some of the sweetest people I've ever met in downtown Chicago. I mean, they're just as friendly and just as nice and just as hardworking as the old men that sit at the gas station and drink coffee in their overalls every morning, you know? So I think Common Ground was really about me learning and the learning process of me realizing that, man, we're all the same. We really all, at the end of the day, we just want to be loved. We just want to be left alone. We want to be able to work hard and give our families a better life than we had. And I think Common Ground ain't too far. Too far off. You know, I think the news and politics keeps us all divided, and I don't think it's real. I think it's all a facade. Just because I've seen it for myself, you know.
Well said.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard for me to even watch the news these days.
Or it's just Twitter. I go on Twitter. I just fuck this. It's just,
oh no, dude.
It's just so like.
All I've got's a Roku now, and of course I've never played for cable. I've never been big on paying for something and then having to watch advertisements on top of it. But
Oh, right.
like you know, I got a Roku and I don't know how many news channels I've like downloaded and then the same day just delete them because it's just a bunch of crap, man.
There's a good way, I think, if you can kind of like find independent news sources on, speaking of Twitter, for example, like some people that I know, like my sister, like uses it in a way where she doesn't really get flooded with the other stuff because she doesn't really follow anybody except select few independent news sources, right? So then it's like you can use it almost as a learning tool.
That's right.
But most people aren't. 99.9% of people are going on there to be whatever. But you did have a good tweet recently, and I have a dog and a newborn.
Congratulations, man.
Well, thank you. But your tweet specifically, because I agree with this because I grew up similarly, you tweeted about getting your kids a dog or a puppy, let them raise it. That to me, when I was in second grade, I got a puppy. And then ever since, I had that dog for 17 years from second grade. And then it just teaches you a lot, even if you don't think in the moment.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, when you have your own kid, son, daughter, whatever, you get so excited to put them in front of a dog and all the pictures and all that cool stuff. But that's the type of simplicity and the type of Twitter I miss, like a tweet like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, a country singer saying, go get a dog for your kid. It's like, oh, that's nice.
That's
nice.
Yeah. That wholesome thing, man. You know, when the world is, you know,
That's what you get in the Ozarks.
Yeah. I think we just
not the show, but
we feed, you know, we just feed off of rhetoric and division and all that crap, man. What happened to the wholesome America? Can we bring that shit back? That'd be great, you know.
If everybody sounded like you, I think so. You and Justin Moore look like
yeah.
If you guys could just talk to everybody, I think everybody would come together. But
just the Moore Sanders ticket in 2024.
Yeah, could you imagine two Arkansas rednecks trying to lead the damn world?
Well,
oh, Jesus.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. If I'm not mistaken, he's had to answer questions in the past about using a fake accent, right? That's true, right?
Yeah, but
I've heard of it. That's like that. We've met him a couple times, and we did a podcast with him not that long ago. I swear to God, easily one of my favorite podcasts ever. He's everything people always ask us mainstream wise, like, who do you guys? He's always one of the first people we bring up, and we know you're buddies with him. Obviously, we saw you were on his show as well, and we always bring him up as far as like nicest, coolest, chillest.
Yep.
When a guy like that is friends with Kit Moore, who's surfing in Costa Rica all the time, you're like, there's something good there.
You bet. You bet.
And a vice grip of a handshake. Wes has told the story a few times, and
God.
little guy, but
broke my hand off.
So you guys, man, getting to meet Justin, hang out with Justin was super refreshing to me. You know, because I've met a few guys that, you know, that were my heroes that I really wasn't that impressed with, you know, and I get it. Country artists are, you know, from some of these guys have been doing this for 20 years and everybody they meet wants something from them, you know. So I kind of get the wall that they put up. But you don't have to be an asshole.
No.
You can keep your distance without being a dick, you know, and it was really cool to be able to hang out with Justin because he's not a showboater. He's not arrogant, you know, he's not full of himself, man. He's just laid back. He's just a good old boy. And no, that accent is very, very real, dude.
No, I know.
I know some people think it's, you know, it's put on or whatever. Like, well, I don't know if you guys ever talked to Lainey Wilson?
Yeah. We're about to have her on. We're about to have her on for the second time.
Great. Well, me and Lainey are good friends, and a lot of people think, you know, she's putting that on. No, that's very authentic. You know, that shit's real. That girl, she's country as a buttermilk Slurpee. You know, so it's,
see, I'm learning phrases I don't even know. Like
Arkansas is full of them, dude. I think we're all just bored in Arkansas. And so we just got the time to sit around and come up with funny shit, you know.
you mentioned meeting your heroes, and me and Wes before we got on, we were talking a little bit about. Well, we talked about this on the podcast. I'm not gonna. We've been asked at times, like, are you gonna move to Nashville and stuff like for what we do? We realized we didn't need it, and in fact, our business got bigger when we really kind of put Nashville kind of like we're going to post about who we want to post about. But you kind of hit the nail on the head as far as what we experience is a lot of people, even people that haven't made it, act like they have. A lot of people have egos. A lot of people are always kind of be like, oh yeah, you're just getting a cup of coffee, and they got their hat on, they got their stuff. They're like,
Their chains.
yeah, it's like Los Angeles light, Hollywood light.
Yep.
And you start to meet people as time goes on, as your business grows, like we did, because we're grinding it out every day. And then you go, oh, like that sucks. Sometimes when you would meet somebody, right? Like you just said. And I think what's cool for us, speaking to you now and speaking to like a Justin Moore, is when you do meet somebody that's them. It's like the most refreshing thing that I think we've experienced. So people always ask us like, who's that? And I think that's what resonates in the music a little bit, that gets lost with the boyfriend country or some of the stuff that's just like for pop hits or TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's nice. Like I just wanted to rant a little bit about like the fact that it does get lost, I think. And people look at Nashville as this old honky tonk people. No, it's like, it's executives, it's people making money. It's a bunch of phonies. So when the people that aren't phonies come out and make it, I love it. It's just exciting for us to see, because we're also not that. So props to you for that.
Yeah, me too, man. I mean, you got like guys like Brantley and guys like that who just are kind of the real deal, and just they're unabashedly who the hell they are. And I mean, that's what I told my label when we first, when we first started talking about me getting a deal. It's like, hey, listen, I can't be nothing but me. And if you guys think you guys can capitalize on who I am and strictly who I am and make it work and us really be successful at this, then let's do that. But if what you see before you right now isn't marketable, then you're barking at the wrong tree, because this is all I can be, man. I mean, yep. My face is, I got a really transparent face. Like if I feel a particular way, you can read it on me. And that's basically what I told them. Like, guys, I can't lie. I've never been good at it. And trying to be cool in front of the camera and, saying, there's all, you got the guys on TikTok who are always, trying to market their songs on TikTok, and they're always looking at the camera like all sultry and
oh my oh dude,
fucking smoke.
Dude, I cannot. No. Do you know Muscadine and Bloodline? They're great guys.
That's what I was gonna bring up.
Oh, go ahead, Wes.
Oh, he just posted a video of like making fun of those guys with the like, hey, question.
Yeah.
He's like, and they're
lip syncing the words.
And why is he lip syncing the words? Because he can't fucking sing.
Yeah. By the way, I just gotta say, Muscadine Bloodline is by far the coolest band name.
Oh, they're
in the history of mankind. Like that right there is cool as shit.
And the fact that we've had them on, we've hung out with those guys plenty of times. Love those guys. And the fact that a major label hasn't just thrown just backed up the truck for those guys, to me is insane. Yeah. Like they're working with everybody from American Aquarium to Kip Moore to like that's a very rare type of artist. And I'm like, fuck it, if they don't need it, like keep going. The right thing will fall, kind of come to them. But great dudes. Yeah. And I was gonna ask real quick, if it kind of made me think of this because Wes and I spoke about it, the Britney Spears thing. Have you seen that? Like Free Britney in the documentary, all that stuff?
No.
Well, I won't explain it all, but it just it's basically like she's in a conservatorship, which is crazy, with her dad, and but which basically like she can't control like money and stuff, but fame from a very early age, obviously. And then it just got crazy. And then obviously people broke her and took advantage of her and stuff. It's like, do you sometimes feel fortunate in a way to kind of go through life with that hard-earned blue-collar job, and then in your 30s, maybe with the family there, and you kind of make that switch where you didn't kind of have that craziness of the industry kind of like hounding you and making you maybe do stuff you didn't want? Yeah. Me
and my mom have this conversation quite often about how stupid I was in my early 20s, man, and how if this would have happened back then, for one thing, my voice has changed substantially since my early 20s, but Yeah, I was just an idiot, just like everybody else, man. And in the early 20s, and
Right.
yeah, I don't feel like I would have ever pulled it off, man. And I feel like I know exactly who I am, and I think that's one of the biggest. I think that's one of the biggest failures of the industry, the music, not just Nashville, but the music industry overall. Is you get artists that are incredibly talented, and then they end up signing a deal, and they say, okay, make me who you think I am, and they don't really know who they are, and so they kind of get lost in the mix. And I can't imagine what kind of psychological effects that has on people. You got suits and ties that are directing their life just simply for the almighty dollar. And I think a lot of these kids just end up getting lost in themselves, and lost in the hustle and bustle of it all, and forget who they truly are. And the next thing you know, they're standing on a stage just singing words, and they really don't even mean what the hell they're saying. Um, so yeah, man, I count myself incredibly fortunate to come to Nash, knowing exactly who I am and what I consist of and who I speak for. Because I feel like I've said before, I feel like I speak for blue collar America, and as long as they'll let me, that's what I'm going to do, man. And it's knowing who I am that kind of solidifies all that.
Do you feel like you've like quote unquote made it yet?
No, 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 brother. We got a long way to go, man. We got a lot of work to put in. We just released this EP, and I'm already getting songs together for the next album. Like, let's because we were ready to go in 2020, but obviously COVID held us up, and so yeah, the day the album dropped, I called my label, my label head, and I was like, hey man, I'm getting a list together of songs that I'm ready to cut, and let's go ahead and start building on this thing already. Because I don't think you can. I think you got to follow up quickly. I don't think you can drop your guard and think, oh man, this is this EP is going to get me through till 2022 or whatever it is.
Right.
No, be prepared, be ready to go, and it's hard damn work, fellas. It's a lot of hard work, but it ain't no harder than swinging a hammer, 12 hours a day. So
it's like a different kind of hard, but also
it is,
hard.
man. It's mentally exhausting. My calluses have like moved up my fingers to the
just
tips.
to the tips.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I feel a little soft. I feel a little softer than I used to be, but
you want to go build a deck just to like get a little bit of that.
I'm about to get me a damn tractor tire and throw in the backyard just to hit my sledgehammer, guys.
Yeah. Tim McGraw does that. Have him take you out.
That dude is so ripped, man. That shit ain't even right, dude.
Yeah, have you met him yet? He's on the label too, right?
I've not met Tim yet, but I'm looking forward to it, man. He's been a huge inspiration.
He seems like he'd be a what you see is what you get type of guy, I hope.
Yeah. And he can pull it off. He's cool enough looking to pull off that, to pull off that really bent up cowboy hat and that black hat down low. And
oh, right.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. I really do. I'm kind of jealous, but yeah, that dude's he's the real deal.
I was going to ask you because we got a few minutes here. You mentioned where you're from and the Ozarks, and do you watch the show on Netflix? The Ozarks.
Man, honestly, dude, I watched the first season and I freaking loved it, dude. But they took too long to get the second season out, and by the
then
time
you haven't caught up yet.
Yeah, by the time they got the second season out, I just kind of forgot about it, and I tried to watch the second season, and I guess it starts off a little slow.
Yeah.
And so I put about 2 episodes into the second season and just kind of lost it, man.
Yeah, that happened. Wes, do you watch it?
Yeah, I'm caught up. Once touring starts again, you got some time on the bus or in the van or whatever you're rolling these days, like you can get back into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Do they do a good job of showing kind of, at least visually? I know it's a big area, obviously, right? Because Wes and I was like, oh, I didn't realize it was this way and where the water all hit, and but it looks like a pretty awesome place to go. Like,
dude, it's kind of I think the scenery and like the flyovers and stuff they do with the cameras, really captures what the Ozarks are. Obviously, I think they really missed it with the cast. Like, it's not like that at all. But
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, which I love Jason Bateman, dude. I think the dude's hilarious. But yeah, man, I think like the Ozarks, like southern Missouri and northwest Arkansas, man, it's kind of a hidden gem, dude. but you kind of got to have a particular taste for it, if you will, because hillbilly culture is really celebrated there. Like you go, all the stores and all the theme parks and all that stuff is really geared around hillbilly culture. And so if you're not into, drinking, the pictures with the whiskey bottle with the 2 X's on it, like it's bootlegged. I mean, it's a really big deal there. So it's not a lot of people's cup of tea, but man, if you want to go up there just to get some beautiful scenery in and just live life and just breathe that mountain air, man, it's hard to beat, dude. The only place I've ever seen that really rivals it's the Smokies, and the Smokies are phenomenal. But yeah, man, the Ozarks, guys, I'll be honest with you, man, that's been the hardest part of the move and leaving home and coming here is I didn't realize how attached that I truly was to the geography of the Ozarks, man, and just knowing the mountains, knowing those hills and knowing the lakes and the creeks and the rivers there. And you move somewhere like Tennessee, which is still beautiful, but you just don't know it, like you do. And when you grew up in it as a kid. But that's been the hardest part of this whole thing for me is leaving that piece of land.
Yeah. We'll have to have you out here in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, take some edibles and talk about life.
Dude, I tell you what, Denver with Justin Moore, Denver was one of the last shows I played, like big shows I played before COVID hit. And you literally walked out off the loading dock and you could walk right across the street and go buy you some weed, man. It was phenomenal.
It shows everybody out. It's wonderful.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's all I've got to see of Colorado is just like downtown Denver.
No,
I haven't been able to.
So much. It's just like majestic. And I know you're an outdoorsman and all that. So like, we'll send you some stuff too. Like we'll, once touring starts again and you guys come out this way, we'll make it work. We'll have a good time. Dude. Yeah.
I love that.
We appreciate your time. Westy, if you have anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm all set. What's next? Just really quick before we wrap up, like, what do you got going on? Just working on this next album, and
yeah, I think that's it. Just prepping for a follow up. I think I feel like this project, we didn't get to dig in as deep as I wanted to. We don't have to tell the label that, but it's good. But I think what's to come will even be better. And then we're just waiting to get back out on the road, dude. I'm about to die, fellas. I mean, I got in this thing to perform and having to sit here at the house, but farmers and rodeos, and like chuck wagon races and stuff like that is what kept me going through 2020. That cowboy crowd that the politicians don't want to fuck with, they've kept me going through this thing, but I am ready to see some of those big arenas again and get back out there in front of several thousand people. So I think it's all just getting prepped for that and seeing what we can do to get that ball rolling.
Awesome.
Heath,
thank you so much. We'll have to hang and grab a beer or an edible or something.
Dude, I'm down. We'll twist up a big one and chill on your patio, look at some mountains or something. I don't know what.
Yeah, let's do it.
That sounds great.
Let's do it, man. Thanks.
Guys, thank y'all for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Have a great weekend, man. See you.
Fellas. Thank you.
Thank you, man.